Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit of a time, but I'm helping a friend out who was in the hospital since January, so it's like 8 months, 9 months, and I am staying with her to transition her from hospital to home. So I am living here during the week and then going home on weekends to visit my hubby. So it's been a bit of a time for me, but it's been nice reconnecting with my friend Mary, and I'm really glad I was able to help her out because I always was saying, well, is there something I can do to help you? Is there something I can do to help you? And she asked, and so I'm like, well, what do I say? Do I say no? So this was something I could do. I could stay with her during the day when her husband works, and I work from home. So I just set up on her dining room table and I do my work at home, and I stay here Sunday night to Thursday and then go and spend some time with my hubby. And me and my hubby are having a wonderful time. It's like a honeymoon again. So that is why my background is a little different today, because I'm in the guest room. But today I wanted to give you another story from the grocery store, stories from the grocery store. And today I wanted to talk to you about Mela. Mela was a friend of mine at the grocery store that I worked at. This is the first grocery store I worked at the community in the north. And it was a really busy store, and so they were always hiring people, and people were leaving, and it was always a certain percentage of employees. There was always in flux. There's always new employees coming and going, always. The people who worked there tended to be younger. So I'd say between 16 and 25. I started working there when I was 50. I know, I don't look 50. Are you guys? But that was one of the great things that was so wonderful working there, is that you got to work with so many wonderful young people who were just starting their lives, and they had hopes and dreams and aspirations, and some of them were struggling and some of them were flourishing. It was interesting to watch and wonderful to see and fabulous to meet so many of them. I try as hard as I can to keep in contact with as many as I can, and it really does makes my heart warm to see these wonderful people who do so well for themselves. But anyways, let's get back to Mela. So Mela was a friend of my son's, and so she was a friend of mine, and she got a job at this grocery store that I worked at, and she was a cashier. So she was hired as a cashier at this grocery store, and what I didn't understand about Mela back then is that Mela had really bad anxiety, and she struggled to get to work. She was totally not upset, but anxious, always anxious when she was at work. And at first I didn't understand that Mela was always anxious when she was at work. And being a cashier, sometimes people weren't the nicest to her, and they said mean things to her, like if she was slow or if she didn't do something quite the way they wanted it. Nobody would be like, oh, could you do this instead, or could I rearrange that bag for you, or something. They're just cutting nasty remarks from a lot of people. A lot of people didn't, but a lot of people did. So Mela had to psych herself up every day to go to work because of her anxiety. And the more she went to work, the more anxious she became. So she started to phone in sick. She felt too sick to go to work, and she probably did because she was anxious all the time. And who wants to be anxious all the time? So she started phoning in sick. So she was not dependable. So she was not somebody that they could call if somebody phoned in sick, because she was the one phoning in sick. So it came to the point where one day Mela did come to work, and Mitt, the store manager, called her into his office, and he was there with one of the Ninas, and they talked to her about her phoning in sick all the time and not being very dependable, and then they suggested that maybe she should quit. So he didn't want to do the paperwork because if I'm thinking that the reason he did this was because Mela had worked there longer than 3 months, so she had passed the certain period of time where you can follow without reason, and so he had gone too far with Mela, and so he needed her to quit so he didn't have to do the paperwork where he'd have to follow, like when she would phone in late, when she didn't show up for work, if she did no shows, all that kind of stuff. So you document all that information and then you can fire her with cause. So there's steps to go, and this grocery store had a union, so you had to follow those steps. So they called her in and told her, we think you should quit. And we're going to give you an hour. We're going to give you an hour to decide to quit. So you go out there and you go stock shelves for us and then come back and let us know what you think. So she left the office with the horrible Nina and the horrible Mitt. And she cried. She came to me. I was in produce. She came to me and she was crying. And she was like, they want me to quit. I'm going to lose my job. And, we were like, well, do you want to go to the union? We could go to the union and tell them that this is what they did to you. If you want to keep your job, we could do that. And she's like, no, I don't want to do this. But the funny thing is, it's just for that 1 hour where she was crying and people in the store were seeing her upset and crying, the employees and customers alike. That hour she spent stocking shelves was more enjoyable than any time she spent ever as a cashier. So I guess maybe in hindsight it would have been really good to make Mela maybe work in produce or work in the deli department where she could make sandwiches, or in the bakery department where she could package cookies and scones and pies. Oh my! They did this to her. They teamed up on her. She was like a kid. She was 17 years old, and they upset her. They made her cry. They didn't follow the company procedures. They didn't have a union representative with her. So I wrote down the 3 things that really upset me about this search situation. First, Nina and Mitt tag teamed Mela without a union steward, which is unacceptable. Second, is if she is unreliable and she's calling in sick, like I said before, there's a process. You start to write her up. You tell every time she doesn't come in, you write her up, and within a certain amount of time she is deemed as unreliable and you can fire her. But that would cause him to do paperwork, so he didn't want to do that. So instead he calls this teenager into his office and makes her feel horrible. So that's what happened with our little anxious little Mela. And I'm wondering, why did they give her an hour? Why did they make her go out onto the floor when she was feeling horrible and feeling intimidated and bullied by these 2 people? What was the purpose of this 1 hour where she had to go and work for them for an hour? So after an hour, she's humiliated enough. She decides, I'm going to quit. I'm embarrassed enough. I'm going to quit. So after that hour, she wants nothing left to do with him. She's humiliated. She's feels bullied. And she just wants nothing more to do with this company. She doesn't even want to go shopping there anymore. And most of us feel that way. Why would I support you when you won't support me? And you do like these kind of crappy little things. So this is just another story that reflects Mitt and Nina. I can't believe how many times Nina is coming up in all these stories. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was Nina. That was that Nina. It was one of the Ninas. But it reflects the unkind actions of this store manager and his henchman, Nina. He had no leadership ability at all. He was a bully. And I'm sure what he does now is continue to bully his way through as he works as a regional or district manager. And I want to leave you with these words from the Rear Admiral Grace Marie Hopper, who says, "You manage things you lead people. So yes, I definitely felt like I was being managed every time I was at this grocery store. I feel that they treated this young girl who had a lot of anxiety, who was not, I'm going to admit it, she was not a good employee. She was not in the proper role for her. She was anxious all the time. She had a difficult time interacting with the customers. So she should not have been a cashier. So who, but she would have made, I think, a really good deli sandwich maker, or working in the back in the bakery. There's always lots of jobs there. But again, just very poor management from Mitt. But people really seem to like him. And I don't know why, because he was a horrid person. He is a horrid person. All right, thank you for tuning in. I hope Mitt and Nina and their bullying ways have not frightened you too much. They frightened me many times. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and share me with a friend, because I'd like to meet them. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.